Welcome to the Kyero.com Spanish Property Podcast, where we interview people who recently purchased a home in Spain. They tell us what worked, what didn't, and what they'd do differently next time. I'm Beth Davison, and this week I'm talking to Lynda from Loughborough. She purchased her new home in Olvera, Cádiz. As a keen walker, Lynda loves the scenery in Cádiz. And just wait until you hear about the price she paid for her spacious, high-ceiling dream property. Talk about a bargain. Lynda worked with estate agent Olvera Properties to find her dream home in Spain. Check out the show notes at kyero.com/podcast to find links and resources mentioned in this episode.
Right, my name's Lynda. I'm currently retired. I used to work as a textile designer. I was working when I bought my first house in Olvera, which was around 11 years ago. Since then, I have bought another property, and as I'm now retired, I spend a lot more time there.
Lovely. So what's the ratio, really? So since you're retired, are you kind of out there more than you're in the UK?
Yeah, well, not more, no, because I do travel elsewhere, but I've just literally spent 7 weeks out there, and I had about 2 weeks out there in April, and I'm going out for another 7 weeks in October. So I sort of spend chunks of time there and then come home.
Sounds amazing. That sounds like the perfect setup. Was it always how you envisaged your retirement? Was this always the plan?
No, I never really had a plan. In fact, probably about 30 years ago, I tried to persuade my parents to buy a property in Spain, but they didn't bite the bullet. So once I'd paid the mortgage off on my own home here in the UK, the money was burning a hole in my pocket, and I decided to go out and have a look.
What a nice
and that's how it
position to
started. That's how it started, really.
Lovely. And so why Spain? Why was it Spain that appealed?
I went out to Spain about 1976. We used to go out to the sort of Costa del Sol Marbella area when it was a lot smaller than it obviously is now. We went for about 5 or 6 years, and I didn't go to Spain then for quite a while. And I was in Ibiza with a friend for a birthday, and we sat there. This was about another 15 years later, and sat there, and I said, do you know, I've just realised why I love Spain so much. And it was just the feeling of the place and the accessibility and everything.
But Ibiza is known for being kind of a party vibe. So actually, I suppose when you start going out there and really exploring, you realise that there's so much more to that island and Spain as a whole.
I haven't done much in Ibiza. We only went for 2 short trips, and we stayed in Santa Eulalia, which is actually reasonably Spanish in parts still. It's not too touristy. But I didn't start looking for a house in Ibiza. It was only ever in this one place, which sounds very strange.
No, so it's Olvera that you eventually purchased in. And what was it that appealed specifically about that location?
Well, it was the really weirdest thing. My friend, knowing my love of Spain and travel, she bought me a subscription to Spain magazine, as it was then, for a year, for a Christmas present. And every month I used to get the magazine and look through it. And there was this one particular advert, which was Olvera Properties. Number one, the picture at the top of the town just looked amazing. Then the properties looked amazing. Plus the descriptions sounded quirky. They didn't sound like estate agent speak, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
They sounded like real people. And the prices were so good. And as I said to you earlier, I paid the mortgage off on my home in the UK. And I thought, I'm going to go. I'm going to have a look.
Yeah, ace. You're not the first person, who said that it was a picture in a magazine that really sparked things.
Yeah.
And when you decided
really
to take the next step then, was the next step looking online, or are we talking it was so long ago that wasn't really a possibility and you had to go out there physically? When did this all happen?
I'm not sure. I can't honestly remember whether I did look online. I suppose I must have done, yes. But I was looking at their adverts, but I just rang them and said, look, I'm interested in coming for a weekend. I did. I'm thinking about it now. I did look online because I picked 4 properties in the nearby village of Pruna and 4 properties in Olvera itself. And I said, I'm coming out on the Friday evening. I'll stay till Sunday, spend Saturday looking around. That was all arranged. I said, but don't show me this particular one until last, because I know I like that one already.
Oh, wow. Okay, so save the best till last.
Yeah, and that was the one I bought.
Well, it sounds like you knew then, kind of from the beginning, from the off, from looking online. which is clearly a great way to start. What year was this then, are we talking?
It was about 11 years ago.
Okay.
In fact, it was 11 years ago next month when I went out for the first time.
And how have you seen it differ in those 11 years? If you're now, did you say you've already bought your second one, or you're kind of thinking about it? You've already done that. So what about the difference in the two processes then?
Very little. Both times it was so easy. I mean, the company Olvera Properties who I was dealing with, they just held my hand through the whole thing. We organised, for the first one in particular, I organised power of attorney so that the notary and the solicitor over there in Spain could sign for me, because at that time I was still working and it wasn't so easy for me to just pop over.
Right.
But for the second property, I actually went over and signed for everything myself, without any problems. But, I mean, they were incredible, because the first house I bought was a townhouse that had been modernised, but it was basic inside. There was just the area for the kitchen, but no units. And various other things. So we sort of looked at it, and I sat down with them I'd got there on the Friday, Saturday was viewing, Sunday I sat with them, and they sort of roughly priced everything up for me, so I knew what it was going to cost me overall, as well as the actual cost of the property. And then I went back in the October and bought it.
Incredible. And was that assessment accurate? Because I know budgets can be very flexible.
Yeah, very accurate. I mean, because that particular house, I was, as well as me using it, I was planning on renting it out, as a holiday let.
Right.
So I wanted nice things in it, but not expensive things. So a lot of it was IKEA stuff, which was pretty easy to price. But things like the fitted kitchen, the Olvera Properties ladies had knowledge of local suppliers and how much things would cost, more or less.
Which is fantastic,
it was very good.
Because agents, possibly in this country, the assumption is that agents, after the point of sale, you're kind of left on your own. But that didn't happen so much in Spain. Not
at all. I mean, even to this day, they are now good friends of mine, but even to this day, anybody that buys a property with them, they are great in helping and doing, checking if people are having reformations done in houses and things like that. They'll check on that, organise builders, all sorts of things. They are incredible.
Fantastic. And if we think about the more recent purchase, just because that's more in line with housing prices right now.
Yes.
Did you know what your budget was and what you were hoping to get for a specific amount of money?
In all honesty, I wasn't really looking for another house. It was just that my father died, and again, I was left with a bit of money, that I wouldn't normally have had. And being me, I sort of just had a look on the Olvera Properties website, spotted this property, which apparently had been for sale for a couple of years, and it was being rented out at that time on a long-term rental. And it ticked every box of what my wish would have been, as in it had 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a little pool on the roof. It had just ticked everything that I really would have loved. And the price was so good, and I thought, I can actually afford this.
Yeah, incredible. And do you mind me asking how much it was, how much you spent in the end?
It was, at that time, I got very good exchange rate, and it was just under £90,000.
Wow, which, in comparison, I mean, it is so different.
I know, completely. I mean, my house here in the UK, I've got just an ordinary 3-bedroom semi in Loughborough, which is, it's not worth an awful lot of money as such, but you could put it's worth double that house.
Yeah, and
it would fit in just some of the space of it, half of it or 3/4 of it, because the rooms are so spacious. It was a modern house, the one I bought. And it's got really big high ceilings and everything.
Lovely.
Very airy and what have you. So, it's completely different.
Yeah, but I can see why you spend so much time over there. It sounds lovely. What is your favourite thing about the Spanish lifestyle? Paint me a picture of what you do when you've got 7 weeks over there.
Everything. I like to get up early in the morning and go walking, because in Olvera particularly, there's so many lovely walks that you can do from the village. We've got the Via Verde on our doorstep, so you can go down there, or there's various walks up to the sanctuary, etc. Go back home, have a bit of breakfast, maybe go out and meet somebody for coffee. have a laze by the pool or go out for the day. Depends what time of year it is, obviously. But also there are so many amazing places to visit within less than 2 hours. Some a bit more, but mostly less than 2 hours from Olvera. So, we sometimes have a couple of days out, stay overnight somewhere, go out with friends, sit outside a bar, and you can guarantee there'll be friends walk past and join you.
I was going to say, how social is it? You're saying meet people for coffee.
Incredibly.
So what's that been like?
Oh, it's amazing. I have so many friends out there now. It's unbelievable. I mean, just to give you a small example, when I went over in June this year, one of my friends who lives there, she's a Canadian lady, and she came down to Malaga to meet me at the airport. And we drove back via IKEA and the garden centre, and we had lunch, and then we got to Olvera, and our favourite bar was open. So we sat outside with a gin and tonic. And I just happened to put on Facebook, I'm home. And then one guy turned up, then another couple turned up. And in the end, there was about a dozen of us all sat outside the bar.
That's so nice. And are people generally in the same position as you, retired or soon to be retired, and spending lengthy periods of time over there?
There's a whole mix. Some people still work full time. I mean, one of my friends who's there at the moment, we've had a week or so together. She's from Australia. She's got 2 houses there. She still works, but she gets chunks of time off. So she was able to come out for a month. Yes, is retired. Some of the people are like me, come and go. Some live there permanently. So, and they're from all over the world. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily expect it. You kind of assume someone was very touristy and maybe all Brits, or you'd assume it was very Spanish. But actually, there's a whole mixture of community there. Yeah.
It's a very Spanish working town. It's very agricultural because you can sit outside the bar and you've got the horses going by, the tractors, or going back down to the campo. So all of that's quite amusing, really, but it's all part of the charm of the town. And it isn't overly touristy in the respect, say, compared to the Costas or something like that. And as I say, we have people who own properties in the town from literally all over Scandinavia, France, Germany, America, Canada, Australia, the lot.
Wow. Incredible. That sounds like it's been an amazing experience for you and super positive. Is there anything you would do differently if you were going to do it again?
I don't think so, no. I really don't, because I can't think of any negative things at all about the whole process or about the fact that I've bought there. It's just all amazing.
That's so good. Was there anything that cropped up that you hadn't thought of? For me, I always think the intimidation, I mean, buying property anyway can be quite scary, but the intimidation of the language barrier, different legalities, those kind of things.
No, again, the Olvera Properties ladies, they both speak fluent Spanish. I speak some Spanish, but nowhere near enough to get me through. Something like the legalities, but they sat with you and made sure everything was okay and explained everything, and it was all fantastic. Just so easy. In fact, I mean, after my father died, I sold his bungalow, and the trauma of selling that was so much different compared to buying, these properties in Spain.
And would you say the central difference is that of support, really, of communication and having an agent that you trust?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I trust them 110%, and, they've done everything for me that I've wanted, kept me up to date with when things will be ready for signing or whatever. And it is definitely a case of trust, certainly.
And you mentioned that, did you ever go into the letting business? Did you let a property for holiday lets and things?
Yeah, the townhouse that I've got, the first one I bought, that one I let out with the likes of Airbnb, etc. But that one is actually on the market at the moment because I don't need 2 houses. It's just that, that was my first property, and
totally.
I'm just selling that one now.
How did you find the Airbnb process?
Fine. I mean, I've not had any problems with it. I don't do long lets. I only ever do short ones because, partly because of the fact that I am selling it. I don't want people in there for a long period of time. It's nice to have them in and out, cleaned up again, so that if anybody wants to view it, it's free,
Yeah, and is it a local company that you then you trust to come in and clean the place in between lets?
It's a local lady that I know, yeah, and there's 2 or 3 people who will do meet and greet and cleaning, etc. So it's all organised through friends there. It's all, nice and easy.
That sounds great. And that's a kind of network that you've built up over time through making contacts and meeting people.
Yeah. There is a great network of people, whether it be Spanish or expat people there. If you've got a problem with the pool, one person will do it. If there's a problem with the plumbing, somebody else. If it's electric, somebody else. Building problems, Antonio, Paco, whoever it might be.
Brilliant. They're all just saved contacts in your phone. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, it's really good. And also, I had one problem. There was a lady came and rented the house once, and there's a little terrace on the first floor. And she went outside, the door slammed, and it actually stuck, and she couldn't get back in.
No.
So I know, it was a bit of a trauma, and she had to break the glass. And this happened in the morning, and I happened to contact somebody there, and within the afternoon it had been sorted, new lock and new glass in the door.
Wow.
So,
but also just neighbours that look out for you a little bit, which actually, if that happens in a position where you're not comfortable with your neighbours or you've not made a group of friends, it can be really hard.
Yes, it can be very difficult, but it's really good.
Yeah, and have you done all this by yourself or with your partner, or what was your position?
No, on my own.
How was that? Because that's rare. That of the people that I talked to, there's only been one other lady who purchased kind of by herself. Did you find that fine, or just for people who might be intimidated by that?
No, I'm not that sort of person, I don't think. But also the Australian lady, my friend who I've mentioned, she's had 2 houses there, and she's bought on her own as well. And there's in fact, that's another good thing about. There's a lot of single ladies in Olvera,
and they're the most fun.
Friends to go out.
They're definitely the most fun, I'm sure.
Oh, we do have lots of fun, trust me.
Oh, fantastic. And so if someone was looking to do the same thing that you thought about 11 years ago, or, what you thought about in getting the second house, what would be your main piece of advice to them?
First of all, go with your heart as well as your head. And also make sure that you find a company that you trust, who look further than the actual sale, who will hold your hand through other processes as well, and who can help you along the way, and make it as painless as I had, hopefully. But
it sounds like you're the type of person who's not afraid to ask questions, who's not going to kind of make sure everything's clear. So have the confidence, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Because they're not going to bite you. You just you need to. I think if I remember rightly, I think the first time I had a little tick list of questions to ask. As I say, it was about what to do, what goes where, how long does it take, etc., etc. So if you've got some idea in your head of the questions that you're likely to want to know, just put it on a piece of paper and take it with you.
Yeah.
And then ask the estate agents. But above all, go with your gut feeling. Are they going to be trustworthy? Are they going to be helpful? Are they pulling the wool over my eyes? And also, as I say, go with your heart, because I just walked into Olvera and I knew I loved it.
That's so good. That's the best feeling, I think, when you find somewhere that really works.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I'm glad it has all gone so well. And thank you so much for chatting to me. Enjoy your next trip. When is it?
Thank you, October.
Oh, you're lucky. It's going to be getting cold here by then. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, and better walking weather as well over there. It's wonderful then.
Excellent. Well, listen, enjoy it. Thank you so much, Lynda.
Thanks a lot. Thank you ever so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. And thanks to Lynda for sharing her experiences, and to Olvera Properties for their help in making this episode possible. I particularly like the sound of all the socialising Lynda gets up to when she's over there, and how even if your Spanish home isn't your permanent residence, you really can end up making so many international friends that you create a real community away from home. If you like what you've heard, you can search this agent's properties and more on Kyero.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. This podcast is produced by Kyero.com. Our mission is to connect you with estate agents and properties throughout Spain. Whether your dream home is a rustic farmhouse surrounded by olive groves or a lock-up and leave apartment on the seafront, you'll find everything you need at Kyero.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate your 5-star rating on iTunes. It helps us reach and connect more people with their dream home in Spain. And whenever you're ready, here are 4 ways we can help you. Ask a question by emailing beth@kyero.com. We'll try and answer them all in an upcoming Q&A episode. Get a location guide by emailing beth@kyero.com. We'll reply with the latest data and information on the areas you're interested in. Calculate your budget. Simply visit kyero.com/budget, enter 2 numbers, and you're done. Be our guest. If you've already purchased your home in Spain, we would love for you to share your story on the podcast. Just email beth@kyero.com and we'll take it from there. Tune in next time when I speak with Richard from Leicester. He tells me how his original purchase felt like such a good investment that soon he would own none other than 4 properties in Spain, the most recent in Almuneja, Granada. I'm Beth Davison, and you've been listening to the Kyero.com Spanish Property Podcast. I'll see you next time.